All I'm gonna say, and all I need to say, is this was my morning. Yeah, some people don't slow down. Look at this gorgeous, gorgeous pasture. It's getting prettier now. I just came down a big drop from the Morgan Pass. Just came down, 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 down. And now it looks like it's just gonna be really nice riding. I'm ready for like just beauty, not like lugging the bike up a hill and then coming down a really steep hill. And that's a lot of what this ride has been. But, you know, this is the road that was built. I just want to be able to look up, look around, and enjoy the reason that I'm doing this on a bicycle and not a car. So I think it's going to get prettier as we head north. The way the Wild West route was written up, this was the section that was 154 miles of nothing. When I think of nothing, I think like there's not going to be any rescue, like there's not going to be homes, even any people. Totally wild, self-sufficient. Oh my gosh, if I break down at 70 miles in, I have a huge hike-a-bike. So I was prepared for that. I mean, you need to prepare for food, but it made me, you know, I let people know. People were a little nervous, like, okay, well, let us know when you dump out. If you had an emergency, there's plenty of people that have passed since I started the climb up to Morgan Pass and down. Maybe you would have to wait maybe an hour. And then you come down in here and there's homes. Yeah, it's not at all what I thought. Then again, I didn't zoom in and really investigate a lot of the pass because I didn't really want to see where I was going. Like I didn't really want to know the terrain, the climbs, the landscape. I was just focused on this section that was very specific, that there is nothing. And there's plenty of water, people, and blah, blah. I already said everything I was gonna say. I almost want to think they're wild horses because they're outside the corral, like they want to come in. Please take care of us. We love being wild, but there's a big bucket of water in there. Please let me be a part of that. See the holes? These rocks are actually higher than they appear. I'm gonna call this a shake, rattle, and roll road. After I've gone downhill for a distance over some really choppy areas, I always stop. I always say, are we okay? Is everybody still holding on? You can see my pack is getting a little low. Oh, interesting. That indent shouldn't be there. The other bag I check is my Rock Bros. Just making sure it's not touching the tire. Because when I first started riding, I had stuff cinched really tight, I thought. But then obviously when everything jiggles around, the cages have been stayed totally in place. I have checked the straps once the lower strap was off. My point being, don't wait until stuff has already fallen off your bike. And you look down and you're going, oh shit, I wonder how many miles back it fell off. Of course, now that I'm shooting video now, the river disappears. You can't go super fast on this because there's so many little rocks sticking up, like sharp rocks. I don't want to bust a tire or risk anything happening. I am very happy to have the sun behind me. Taking a break along the river, trying out my powdered. So you're supposed to mix 2 tablespoons of this with 1.5 tablespoons of water. Oh, it looks like it's taking form. This would go faster if I was using 2 hands. I mean, it tastes like peanut butter a little bit, maybe like 60%. This is awesome. I can't wait to, but it comes in almond. I think the almond will taste better. I knew the minute I took everything out of my bag, some asshole would fly by me and spray dust all over me. I think they actually get pleasure out of it, some of them. So I just took everything out of this bag and I'm pushing this dent back in. It started hitting the tire and I just heard it hit when I went over a little bump. Yeah. Or maybe I shouldn't say little. See the scrapes on the bottom? As soon as this happens, it's not good because it's pressing your bag towards your tire. And just in case you're wondering why I'm doing this half-ass, where I'm holding my bike, the road was narrow and there was nowhere to pull over. See how this comes over? There's a little like kind of a breakdown lane here, and I'm in the shade. These trees are like off the cliff, and that one is surrounded by prickers. I tried with all my might. I shoved my sleeping bag in there, which fills in all the little pockets. Put my sleeping pad, I shoved the poles, the dent comes back. I hope this isn't a problem for the trip, because I really love this bag. I mean, this bag did not sway. It just stays exactly in place as the design is meant for it to do. Only thing that I hate about it, besides this dent that's happening, is the red strap is really useful. You really kind of need it. But let me just tell you how many times I forgot to do it. Happened to just hang right into that. And it gets caught, and let me just tell you, it's gotten wound. I never jump right on my bike. I just don't know what is hanging or what I didn't do right. Because you're kind of bound to maybe make a mistake. And I'm really glad, because had I just like jumped on my bike and started pedaling, that red strap would have done something. Could have broken a spoke. You just have to ingrain it in your brain. Don't forget the strap. Now, this is me. Maybe a lot of people will remember it. When it hangs, you don't see it. It's out of sight because it's hanging like under the bag. So maybe if part of the strap was here and it snapped here, that way you'd see this leftover strap ending and you'd be like, oh wait, that connects to something. Well, maybe I'm just an asshole and I just need to get better at remembering things. The other thing I'm not crazy about, yes, that is my underwear on top. And yes, I have more than one pair. See how this bungee, I'm pulling it this way because if I just let the strap come here, I feel like it'd only be strapped like this much, right? They don't need to add actually another strap. They could just move this one over. Finally dumped out of the road from Chalice. It dumps here. I just want to show you the numbers from when I left my camp spot this morning. 44 miles downhill. Okay, I left around 11 a.m. It's 92 degrees out. It's actually 96, 98, but it's getting a little cooler now. The Wild West Route is written up from north to south. If you're going in the southern direction, you have 44 mile climb. It's actually 45 because I probably went a mile down over the pass. You're facing the sun. The Salmon River is with you for like the first 30 miles. This road it's groomed nice. Coming down it, couldn't just fly. A lot of dips, a lot of rivets, chunks of rock that have fallen. I didn't want to risk blowing a tire, so I was careful. I was probably averaging 10 miles per hour. Anyway, on your way up, I mean, it's gonna be like maybe 1.5, you're gonna hit spots of like 6. And then after like 30 miles, you're gonna get more of a climb. You could get into like 11% grade, 15% grade. I would not do this in one jaunt. I would break it into 2 if you're heading in the southern direction. I just think it's a grind. The descriptions are all based on one's own physical ability. I don't know how much the person who wrote the article had on their bike. I'm just coming down this thing thinking, God, I couldn't imagine going in the opposite direction in one day. Based on what I read, it's not what I'm experiencing. It's much harder. I'm getting a little tired. I probably need to stop riding. Just plan to break it into 2. On that whole ride down, you'd think you could relax because your legs, but you can't sit on your seat. So my legs are actually tired from bracing and kind of, sitting up out of the saddle. We're gonna get a lot of rafting companies passing us. So nice to be back on, well, still rivety, but I don't see any rocks. Huge dips. How beautiful this is. Up around that corner, I think maybe 3 times that distance, is where the river heads towards town, and I turn up towards that monstrous climb where there's no water for 25 miles. So I'm in this spot. I don't know what the rules are around here, but I could put my tent right here. It's only 5:30. I even have my own little beach. I already just washed my feet off. I might go over to the house and ask them if I could leave my tent here, because I don't know if when I get near that turnoff, it's just gonna be like, you're just on the road and like there's nowhere to camp, right? It just dumps into the water and the other side is a rock wall. So I'm gonna walk over there and ask. I hear like a generator going. He said that the switchbacks are the steepest part of the climb. He feels that it only is like a mile. And then you do continue to climb, because he said he thinks the switchbacks are at like 5,000 feet. and then it actually goes to 8,000. So I did do that before. I had to hike a bike. He did say at the turnoff, there are places that I can put my tent. And he said there's even cabins up there. Like if I ever got stuck or I needed water, I could knock on somebody's door, and some famous artist lives in one of them. He said he didn't know which one, but probably the nicest one. So I'm gonna keep on paddling. That was good to know. He's a nice guy. He has a hunting outfit on. Okay. I wonder if this is a pay one. I just passed the turnoff, but this is right at it. Let's go check it out. There's a spot there, and there's a great spot over there with a view of the river, but the problem is the trees are like off the cliff, so there's nowhere to rest my bike. And then there's this sweet little thing. Aww. There's kids next door, blah. I hope they'll be to bed early. From this spot, going in reverse, that's your climb all the way up to Morgan Pass. That's what you're looking at. Everybody has their generators going because they're all making dinner. One of the worst things about staying at a campsite, if you're traveling by bicycle or maybe backpacking, is you hear things like, "Daddy, can I have another hot dog?" I'm not there yet, but there is a day in my future that I know I will literally go up to one of these campers and say, "I'll give you $10 if you give me a hot dog." I think I'm gonna get to sleep with half my rainfly on, and I actually walked down this little cliff over here and was able to like bathe. I'm not waiting for water to boil. This should beat the ramen from last night. Yeah, who needs a hot dog? This looks delish. There's 4 servings, but I'm eating 2 servings. And then when I wake up in the morning, I'll have the rest for breakfast. Yes, I'm showing you my feet. I always have a pair of clean socks because usually my feet are clean if I'm near a creek, and I can just put my clean sock on when I take my foot out of the creek. But it didn't work because it was a sandy decline to the river. And so now they actually have a dual purpose. I keep the dirt inside the sock because I don't want my foot going in my sleeping bag like this.